We're going to bring the January 21st meeting of the Selectmen to order. It's a 6:45 start because we're going to go into executive session. We'll be entering executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, strategy for non-union contract employee, fire and EMS, and will return to open session thereafter to further conduct regular business meeting. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to enter into executive session and to return to conduct regular business.
Okay. Keefe, aye.
Stone, aye. Okay.
We're going to reconvene our open session. Meetings of the Board of Selectmen are generally recorded for transmission on both Berlin Cable and YouTube. Your voice and image may be recorded. Okay. We have some minutes to approve.
2 through 5, not 1.
Not one. Deferred?
We could do 2 through 5.
Okay.
Chris, did you reconfirm the vote on the contract already?
No.
Okay.
No. We will.
Okay.
Hello.
So we've got numbers 2 through 5. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Seconded.
Any comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Actually, maybe I'll reconfirm our vote that was taken in executive session, which was to...
So it was to sign the fire EMS chief's
Right.
contract, subject to his meeting all pre-employment requirements and specifying a contract start date.
I'll say so moved. Do I hear a second?
Seconded.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
So hopefully our new fire EMS chief will be starting by the end of January,
Yes.
and looking forward to it. Correspondence? Nope. General public comment? Oh, wake up back there. And it's almost 7:10. Would you like to do a quick town administrator report?
Sure, or you could, yeah, sure. Well, you know what, would you like to vote to ratify the...
Sure.
The agreement amendment for interim chief Clark, that is sitting
Sure.
right here.
Okay.
This extends his term through January 31st.
Motion to approve. Seconded.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Oh, and we have personnel action form for him, too.
It says February 2nd.
February 2nd it is. I keep thinking the 31st, but February 2nd is actually the end of that pay period, so it is February 2nd.
Okay.
Mary, do you know anything about this? So anything at all more time when they open the town meeting, or did they just vote to?
Yeah, there's...
Okay. What time of the day does it usually close?
Well, you've changed it a little bit in time. Do you have the stuff? It's in here.
Okay, done.
So it's in the front.
That's it, okay. Excellent, okay, thank you. Thank you.
And we have a vote to approve the personal action form for the interim
Yes.
fire EMS chief.
This would be for authorization for the chair to sign.
So seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I did not date it, but you can date it for me, or...
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Oh, we vote to execute the employment contract. We did do that. All right. And vote to accept the third round. Oh, wait a minute,
Yeah, we're waiting.
that's a personnel action form, though. We need to fill that out, or we need to sign that for Jeffrey also.
Not not for the employment contract, not till he
Okay.
actually
Signs?
signs, yes.
Okay, so vote to accept the third round of town administrator.
Not yet. No.
Yeah,
Okay.
not yet.
Nope.
How about approval of the calendar year 2019 annual report to the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission?
Motion to approve. Seconded.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, I'm messing up your piles, aren't I?
Oh, no, I'm finding everything just fine, thank you. Okay. The 2020, this 2020 action calendar for town meeting, I haven't made any changes, no comments were submitted on this by the board, so if you'd like to formalize or just vote on final form of this action calendar, then we'll have a schedule to stick to.
Okay,
Motion to approve. Seconded.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, can we go back to the report to ABC?
Did we have something to sign for that?
The letter.
ABCC?
Is there a letter? Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't in the, yes.
It's not tabbed. Any one of these will do.
So just a quick question. We know that there was a license amendment to the new flat penny, but they're not called the flat penny anymore, so do we have to change anything to?
Those were licenses issued in 2019. And
Okay.
although you gave the new flat penny their license in 2019, it was for effective 2020. They started on New Year's Day. So those were all the calendar year 2019 liquor licenses that you issued.
So we're not doing anything to issue a license under On the Tracks or?
Yeah, we are.
Well,
You are, I'll bring that up in my,
Okay.
yeah, I'll talk about that in my TA report.
All right.
So next steps on that.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go.
Thank you.
All right. I can't see the clock.
It's close
It
enough.
must say 7:10 now.
It is by this angle.
All right, I can't tell.
Yes,
from
it is.
here. All right, come on up. Just want to make sure
It's
that
highway guy.
everybody's here that wants
I
to see you
did.
tonight.
I did, and I think of you every time I come down Crosby and I see the sign that's sticking out on the road, and I very much
The
appreciate
other
it.
night after Fred hit it with the plow.
I know.
Or somebody hit it. I don't know, I can't say who did it.
But they do slow down because you have to go around it, so thank you for doing that.
Well, there's one coming, but it's through the insurance company, so. you know,
Yeah, just leave that one in the road.
It's working.
Mhm.
What do you want to hear?
Well, what do you got?
So we had some tree complaints. This, we're going back to, this is from November, because I wasn't here in December.
We had some storms.
We had some storms. It's been busy. We'll just go month by month here. So we met with Servpro, that's a company that does disaster remediation, and they're putting together a program for all of our public buildings, as much as we want them to. And there'll be a binder that's accessible by the fire department, Board of Health, building. As soon as somebody walks in the door, if there's an emergency, they have all the contact info.
Nice.
It's a pretty neat setup, and it's at no charge. You know, their hope is that we use them if there's a disaster. So that's,
And we hope there's no disaster.
that's
so
correct.
There you go.
But, you know, right now, it's, you know, nobody really knows who to call, so I get a call, the fire chief gets a call, but this way here,
You know who
it's
called.
pretty straightforward, so that's a pretty neat program we're gonna take advantage of. Let's see, we had some smoke detector issues at 1870 that we had to replace some smoke detector fire alarm stuff. We had heat issues in this building again, which we kind of trace back to, we had a pretty good windstorm and it has multiple power surges, and it messed up the controls downstairs, and so we got that straightened out. We met with the fire chief, the fire marshal, and the building commissioner over trying to get the building permit process a little more fluid. Sometimes it gets tripped up, and we're not sure, we haven't really resolved it with the changes at the top, so we'll wait till everybody gets back on board and go at it again. And winter operations started, that was, I don't remember that date, but it was early in November. The gutter here, I had a company come in, they sealed the gutter. There's two problems with this entryway. One is the seam was leaking, so it was dripping water down. And the other is, and I wasn't really aware that this was the biggest problem, snow comes down off the roof and curls over the gutter, and then it melts.
Drip, 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 drip,
Right.
drip, 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 drip.
So they're putting snow rail up, 2 rows across 3 sides to keep, sounds crazy as it sounds, to keep the snow on the roof, so that it'll melt slowly, and then the water will go into the gutter and drain off. So that's gonna happen, the snow rail's in, I ordered it, so I'm hoping soon, within the next few weeks, that gets done.
It orders in, not it's in on the building.
It's not on the building, correct. It's at the roofing company. So that kind of leads us into the whole business on December's report. The problem is that roof really wasn't designed properly. I mean, it had a pitch coming over the entryway isn't really a good thing, so.
Well, it's awful pretty, though.
It does look nice, I'll give you that, but tell that to the,
Except for the chipping at the very top.
right,
It's okay with it.
and the poor lady that's on the ground looking up at
That's all the architects wanted.
So that's gonna be about a $5,000 repair to,
Ugh.
well, it beats a lawsuit, I guess.
Agreed.
Well, and we're giving this one a shot, so
Yeah.
hopefully it really does address the issue, but.
It's been a problem since it was built. So, this should work. The heating unit, I'm sure you really want to hear this, at the new highway barn failed.
And it's out of warranty?
Correct, 1 year. They might warranty the parts.
You've got to be kidding me.
I wish I
You
were.
don't really need heat, do you?
So it's just, no, actually, so it's the
Especially
office,
since
so
it's
it's not the end of the world.
We could chip in and buy you more gloves,
Oh, yeah,
some hand
yeah.
warmers.
So I think the parts are in there. We just get it, take it apart and fix it.
Is there a cost on that one?
Well, I don't have an estimate. It'd have to be fixed, so.
Yeah.
Right now, we got the doors propped open and a couple of, there's heaters in the entryways, so we got those running, and we leave the door to the bay open. It hasn't, we can monitor the temperature from our phone,
It's
so.
reminiscent of the construction meetings back in the building before the heat was in.
Yeah, so, it is what it is.
But you're looking at alternate ways and things to
Yes,
do
we actually
to...
had an energy audit today.
Oh, that's right. Okay, when do we expect the results back?
Did you say 2 weeks?
He
Yeah.
said about a week. I mean, I'd give him 2 weeks, but he took pictures, he took notes, he
He was
went.
thorough.
Yeah, he
went
was
through the
thorough.
plans for this building, and,
Oh, is that today?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
he was knowledgeable, so.
All right, we look forward to that then.
And he did look at the highway, I'm sorry, through the chair. He did look at the highway barn for alternative energy
Good.
efficient solutions. So hopefully he'll have some recommendations in that too.
So this goes back to the end of December. At this point, the end of December last year, we had gone out 8 times to treat or plow the roads. And by the end of December this year, we had gone out 18 times. And now we're up to 22 times as compared to last year, 14 times at this time. So we've been busy.
Yeah.
Well, if you could just dump off some mixture at everyone's house, and then, when it snows, you just have them go out and throw in front of the...
I'd rather leave the keys and everything and let them do it themselves.
All right, I'm game.
I don't like this winter stuff anymore.
Yeah, she's game.
I'm game. Toot toot.
Let's see. Potholes, snow fence. Having a little bit of a problem keeping the sidewalks around this building clear during the snowstorm. I know there was some talk and I don't know if there's a handshake agreement with the fire department to do that. They do okay, but like this morning, I had to shovel out the back way here. You know, I don't know, we're talking about doing something else, but
Okay.
it's been kind of a challenge. I've got called by the library a few times to, you know, I'm not gonna stop in the middle of a snowstorm and shovel the stairs, just so everybody knows that.
Yeah,
And I don't think there's a lot of people gonna be visiting some of these places in the middle of a snowstorm either. so. If it has to go another day, then that's the way it's gonna be.
where's the snow fence?
Soy Hill,
Okay. Okay.
You were getting a lot of drifts there, is that it?
so the guys have been putting it up forever, I guess, and they put it up, some down here on Central Street they didn't put up this year, but Fitzy, that's his route up there, and he wanted to do it, he said, I'm not taking a chance, so,
Because it drifts?
yeah,
Yeah. Across Sawyer Hill,
yeah.
I suppose.
Do we need to adjust our snow closure policy in some fashion?
The weather closure?
Yeah,
To
I-
make sure that, yeah.
I think she's working on it.
I'm working on it. I did intend to have it ready, a draft ready for today, but I didn't get it ready, so
I was
it's gonna be
just
next week.
More thinking, you know, if we can't get the buildings dug out, we can't open them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Dave, you and I should
Just
talk
as a
before the
thing.
next meeting when I give a draft to the board.
Now, would that include just this building, or would that include library, 1870, all those buildings?
I think that we should probably include all the buildings, at least that the board has jurisdiction
Yeah.
over.
Okay,
So, and then.
because that's not included in the current one, is it?
What?
No,
No, it's not.
Multiple buildings?
Right.
But if there's the expectation that town employees are going to be clearing it, and if they can't do that,
Mhm.
then that still needs to be addressed.
Mhm.
They can't open their building if,
Right,
because, the town does pay for insurance.
exactly. And so we'd ask the library to follow suit. So I think that we'd have to do that.
Yeah,
In the transfer station.
And the transfer station.
okay, so that'll be something to look forward to.
Okay.
Right, what,
Do you still have Aiden, or is he gone?
No, he's still here.
Excellent.
You want me to get rid of him?
No!
I saw him today.
No!
This is his week off, he's still in co-op.
Okay. How long are we gonna be able to keep him?
I'm gonna try to stretch it till the end of the
Okay.
fiscal year, but I'm
Okay.
gonna have to have a bake sale.
Last row, bake sale?
We'll work on something.
Okay. He's still liking it very much?
Yeah, he has a good time, he's a good kid, you know, he's learning.
Good.
He's a
He
good
just,
worker.
He did get his CDL learner's permit, so that's the next step. If we can
Excellent.
get him his license, the state will give us another $2,000, so that'll go towards,
Boom.
that'll
Okay.
help, yeah.
so.
Good.
They would send him to school to do it, and that's what it would cost him. So if they said if we'll get him his license, they'll give us the money.
Nice. Good for you. Thank you for doing that.
That's
Hopefully you'll
fun.
be able to get more kids.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get more kids involved.
Yep.
It'd be nice to get more schools involved. It's surprising the amount of schools that don't take advantage of this program.
Yeah,
And it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And thank you for the good job that you do on the roads.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, you can tell when you go from like town line to town line, you know
Yes.
where you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the guys do it. They take great pride in their districts.
Yeah.
You know, they're each responsible for a section of the town, and it works. So,
Yeah, that's great.
And it never fails. I snow blow. Go inside. Up you come.
you just gotta, you know.
Yep, up you come again.
We call each
Down
other.
you go. I know. Yeah, so we just finished. Yeah, thanks. Mhm. Big one goes up, little one goes up. Oh, good. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that. Okay.
thank you, Dave. Any questions for Dave? Nope.
It was nice to see you.
Nice to see you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dave.
Dave.
Say hi to the missus.
I will.
All right.
Look at that, we're cooking with gas. We're on the second side of the page.
Well, not quite. We have to do the town administrator
Okay.
report.
I'll keep it brief,
Oh.
brief as I can. All right, so under HR and benefits, the 1870 Town Hall Manager job ad has been posted. It's going to be posted until the position is filled.
Before you move on,
Yes.
on the Council on Aging, on the director, and I
Yes.
was gonna bring it up under board question and comments.
Yeah.
I noticed that Northborough's looking for one. It was in the paper. Their current one is going to be resigning.
Mm.
So is this an opportunity for us to maybe partner with Northborough? I don't know if it's a full-time gig or a part-time
I'm
gig.
pretty sure theirs is full-time.
They do have a full-time position, yeah.
They have a
They have a population to
center
support it.
and a,
But I
yeah.
also thought.
Can we
I saw-
partner with them, though, to maybe be a part of the interviews and see if some of their people might?
I think you're gonna get a different batch because you're gonna have people looking for full-time jobs.
But you never know. You might ask, could throw it out there.
I could have sworn there was also another area town that was looking for a COA director. I could be
Boylston, I
wrong,
think.
but I should.
Boylston?
Yes, yes, it was. COA coordinator, yes.
Isn't theirs also full-time?
No,
Or is theirs
that one's
part-time? Theirs part-time.
part-time. Yeah, it was Boylston, so
So we might have a
Oh, she
couple
left.
opportunities
Good.
to mind meld.
maybe.
Okay.
Where did she go? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know,
She
but I
was-
just saw an ad.
She was good.
In
Yeah.
Boylston?
Yeah.
Oh, who was it?
I can't remember what her name was, but I talked to her and she had her act together.
Huh.
Yeah, the one in Northborough is just retiring straight out.
Well, I'll have to make myself a note on that. Okay. I will follow up with that just to see what opportunities may exist. I had hoped to include the Personnel Committee's recommendations on FY21 wage adjustments in the budget revisions column this week, but we're still reviewing the numbers, June and I, and so I will have those added for next week. The Finance Committee has developed an FY21 budget meeting schedule, and you have a copy of that in front of you. So this allows them to plan out through their next several meetings. They are canceled for tomorrow night, just so everyone knows. They had a question as to whether or not they'd have quorum tomorrow night. But they will resume their weekly meetings on January 29th with budget meetings for Town Clerk, Treasurer Collector, Library, and Board of Selectmen. The Capital Planning Committee and I will be presenting our recommendations and the 5-year capital improvement plan to the board on next Monday at 7:15. I have invited the Finance Committee to sit in and hear the recommendations. I have to say, I've sat through all of the Capital Planning Committee's meetings. Bless you.
Thank you.
And they have approached the capital planning process very thoughtfully and thoroughly, and they've taken into account long-range strategic planning in this particular round. They're actually going to be making a recommendation to establish a capital stabilization fund and include some seed funding so that we can kind of start planning long-term and approach capital funding as more a programmatic long-term strategy. There are a lot of items that have been deferred, and so I think I've been giving the board reports on this. The latest, they had a meeting last week, and I don't think I've given you a report on that. They did vote to recommend the parking lot project with the $100,000 that's going to be coming back in grant funding. They have, and they met tonight too, by the way. They also voted, rather than, they've deferred the bucket truck to allow time for more investigation and exploration as to options, but they did vote to recommend a sum of money to take down a number of the dead trees, to get going on that through a contracted service in the coming year. So I think it was, I want to say $60,000 that would take down 300 to 360 trees, potentially to start. So
How
I've
many trees
informed,
do we have to go?
Did he say about 600?
he said about 800 trees. So this would give a start. It wouldn't strip the town right
Right,
away, but
right.
it could take care of some of the trees that are in the most in need of being taken down. So there are a lot of good, thoughtful recommendations that will be coming forward from capital planning. River Bridge mitigation agreement, we have been meeting as a kind of a local officials group and to review the agreement, and there has been support expressed for a new fiscal impact study to be done that would address 4 priority areas. First would be public safety and EMS impacts. Second would be traffic mitigation and bridge evaluation. Third would be public service impacts, and fourth would be education impacts. The hope is that this fiscal impact study could start soon, so that we could start addressing some of the priority items, understanding, of course, that education may have to wait until fall when we see some real impacts from occupancy at the units. So Tim Wheeler, planning board member, was going to bring this to the planning board and start putting together a scope of service, so to speak. And thank you for giving the outline on that.
Is that okay?
Yes, I have to look at it some more, but, and we're going to build on that from
Yeah.
feedback that the town officials give.
Okay.
The next thing is under procurement contracts and agreements, library septic system. We did have a meeting with DEP in Worcester last week, and we have a follow-up meeting that is confirmed now for February 4th. To discuss the town's direction on the septic system replacement or new septic system, and the possibility of a well. So we're going to have another meeting on the 4th, and we'll have more information forthcoming after that. In administration and operations, June and I have been talking about ambulance billing procedures, administration, write-offs that are due to come before the board. And as part of these discussions in preparation for coming to the board, I ask for a board member to just participate with us in the preliminary discussions before it comes to the board, before we come to the board with recommendations on write-offs.
Peg, would you like to do that?
I didn't see you waving your hand up there. Look at you. What?
No, because, I mean, this has been a bug in my craw since I've been on the board, that we need to fix the process because we're losing too much money for revenue that could come back to the town, that if we could simplify the process, outline the process, get it in somebody's hands from start to finish, this problem now goes away, so. And then I can update the ambulance write-off policy that we put in place shortly after I joined the board, so.
Okay.
Thanks, Lisa, for noticing.
All I could hear was noise over
Where's my
there.
pen?
So yeah, June and I are continuing this discussion, and either June or I will reach out to you and let you know, and ultimately the goal is to come back here with recommendations for the board on the procedure and the write-offs.
Okay.
And then finally, I did submit the town's nomination of the Tolman property for Brownfields assessment funding last week. I don't know, I'm very uncertain as to what the process will entail, or whether or not they will vote to move forward with the Tolman property here in town, but I am attending the Brownfields Advisory Committee meeting along with Fire Marshal Litchwell, who was included in all the responses that the fire department has gone to in the past there. So he'd be able to give that historical perspective. So he'll be attending too, and I'll bring back a report to the board. But it should also be noted that DEP has turned over jurisdiction of the contamination of that property to EPA. So they are also working on, they work on immediate remediation issues. So if there's something that is an imminent threat, EPA would be looking at it, whereas we're trying to look at it as in a more holistic way, where we'd be looking at a number of different contaminants. So
That's great.
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. That's also been another bug in people's craw over the past few years as to what we were gonna do with that property, and it was just a lot of this, we don't have the money, we don't know what to do, so thank you for pushing that forward.
Well, you're welcome, and we'll see what we can do from that. Okay, the next is, so building, Dave mentioned that we did have a no-cost walkthrough of this building and the highway barn today. Should be getting the report in a week or two. Bless you again.
Thank you.
I have signed the contract with CMRPC to begin on the ADA self-assessment and transition plan process. We are going to have a kickoff meeting with the ADA consultant and CMRPC staff next Monday, the 27th. Our key team here to get going on that is myself, Dave, Highway Superintendent, Police Chief, and Building Commissioner. And then finally, I have actually received an email from West Boylston regarding the possibility of a shared facilities coordinator director position, and they still are interested in initial discussions. I replied today and said essentially the sooner the better, because we've started our budget process. So if we want to determine whether this is feasible, we need to know
Yeah.
soon. And then finally, with regard to the Flat Penny, you've probably noticed that they intend to change their name, or they've changed their name to On the Tracks. They are required under ABCC regulations to file a DBA, a name change, with the local licensing authority. So we've notified them to get that to us by January 31st, and it's going to be on the board's agenda on February 3rd for review and approval. And that is it.
And if you'd like to read the town administrator report in its entirety, it's on the website.
For your viewing pleasure, reading pleasure.
Yes.
So, quick thing, you're probably already doing it, but can you make sure Energy gets the results of the assessment so that they can look at
Absolutely.
that for potential green communities?
Yes, I conveyed information to the town clerk today and asked her to pass along to the Energy Committee tonight, so they should be expecting that.
Okay, I think the only thing under old business that we've missed is to vote to accept the third round of the town administrator's fiscal year 2021 budget recommendations.
Okay, this is a very small round, I have to say, because we've still got a lot of work to do on a number of the requests. So I've uploaded the budget requests that we're talking about today, and I've provided hard copies for Chris and Peg. Lisa, I know you have them in your folder. The Finance Committee approved their budget requests at their last meeting, so I have, they're submitting the budget request for $275, which covers the cost of their membership in the Mass Association of Finance Committees. They also approved a reserve fund budget request of $95,000, but I'm not prepared to recommend that yet. Okay, so I am recommending FinCom expense of $275. That is level funded from last year. Down to the treasurer collector expenses. This is actually a revision of something the board has already approved. This revision, shown in the revision columns, reflects an increase of $751 to cover the cost, the increased software maintenance cost for point collection software. This is adding the CPA module to that software. So even with a $751 increase, he's able to keep the line level funded from last year. So I do recommend that revision. Personnel Committee approved their budget request at their last meeting. This current year, their approved budget was $5,200. $5,000 of that was to absorb any additional consulting costs over and above the grant award. We got the full grant award, so their budget request is back down to $200 for next year, or a decrease of $5,000 from FY20.
Great.
So I'm recommending that. Next is town clerk salary. This is fairly straightforward. It's a 1.5% increase over the FY20 salary, so an increase of $468. I do recommend that based on the Personnel Committee's COLA recommendation. Same thing with the part-time salary. That's an increase of $192, or 1.5% over FY20, and I am recommending that. Finally, with expenses, this reflects a large percent increase, an increase of $655, but the reason for that is because dog licenses, which were formerly funded through the dog license revolving fund, are now on budget, and we're going to be closing out that revolving fund, which currently has about $13,000 in it. So that's all going to go back to free cash. So you see the on-budget amount, which will continue to be so, but the revolving fund's going to be closed out, and the money that's turned over for dog licensing will go into the general fund. So I recommend that. Okay, next is electricity and fuel oil. These are requests that have been in your Google Drive folder since the beginning of the budget request submission process. The recommendation currently on both of these is to level fund. We have achieved savings with electricity, however, we know that the highway garage is using a lot of electricity, especially in the winter with the heating. So on the budget request itself, June has kindly summarized the situation with electricity. We are seeing energy credits, the solar credits coming in, which are significant. We do pay an amount to Blue Wave for the opportunity to get these solar credits. And, but even with those things, we are not, I'm not convinced that we can reduce our electricity line yet, especially in light of the fact that the highway garage demands so much electricity. We are also finding now that we have absorbed $120 for the cemetery's electricity costs. They've taken it off their budget, so they've reduced their budget, but it's coming onto our electricity expense line. We also, this year, we saw that the Council on Aging office moved over to the 1870 building, so we're actually seeing some, regular electricity costs coming from that building now. And finally, what was the other thing? The curatorial building, I think they expect to have some sort of electric heat system put into that building. So we're gonna have to absorb that cost too. So while this budget, it looks as though this budget can be level funded, I think that we're gonna have to closely monitor it through the remainder of this budget process. So my recommendation now is to level fund it, keeping an eye on it as we move through the winter. Same thing with fuel oil. The cost of fuel oil is volatile. We don't know what's gonna happen in the next year. It looks right now that we can maintain level funding in that line into next year, but I think it's going to be close, so we have to keep our eye on that too. I'd recommend the level funding at this point, but we'll be monitoring that closely. Any questions on those?
Did you, you probably
Did I
don't have,
do all the others?
did you want to say anything about the town clerk, the registration part-time?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that one.
It's level funded.
It is level funded. That is level funding, assuming minimum wages are paid to those who are doing registrations. I am looking into now whether or not wages paid to regular employees of the town higher than minimum wage are allowed. So for now, I'm recommending this, but I am looking into the ability to pay wages, minimum wages to an employee who's otherwise being paid at a rate higher than that.
And then the veteran's salary was the last one.
Veterans. Yes, okay. So veteran salary. This shows a 4.9% increase, but only because he's been being paid at minimum wage. This year, the minimum wage went up 75 cents. Next year, with the 1.5%, it's going to go up another few cents at the start of the fiscal year, and then it's going up to $13.50 in the middle of the year. So this entire increase in his wage line is attributable to the increase in mass minimum wage. His expense line, he's proposing level funding that. I think he recommended that, and I support level funding. This is just for basic office supplies. The next line, veterans benefits. He's requested level funding that line, and I am going to have a follow-up conversation with him. That line is unpredictable, and it could change at any time during the year, depending on whether we get a new beneficiary coming aboard. We don't get to wait until the beginning of the fiscal year. If we have someone come aboard, or dependents of veterans, we don't get to wait to say, we're going to wait and hold off on funding your benefits till next fiscal year. If a beneficiary comes forward, we're required to start paying. Now, the law doesn't allow us to deficit spend this, but again, this line is unpredictable. Right now, we are spending money under this line at a rate less than what is requested. So it's possible, after I talk with Jim, it's possible we may be able to revise this downward if he doesn't expect beneficiaries who are going to be due high payments to come aboard. So, but for now, I will recommend the level funding of that line.
Okay,
And that's it for tonight.
all right. Would like a motion to approve. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Yes, you do.
Okay, questions, comments?
No, thank you, Margaret. It's
Very
always,
good.
appreciate all the skinny that you
You're
provide.
welcome. You're welcome. They're getting harder as the weeks progress, so.
Yeah, the low-hanging fruit is quickly
I know,
disappearing.
it's so easy. And then we're running out of that.
I know,
Right.
that's okay.
Well, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Alrighty. The next thing is under new business, vote to open the 2020 annual town meeting warrant. And it will be closing on Tuesday, February 18th at 5 PM.
So moved.
And seconded.
And all in favor? Aye.
See, first item on your calendar. Check.
Hey! Gotta highlight those in green.
Big broadcast is going out to make sure that everybody is aware of all these dates, and
Sure, I don't see why we can't even post this so people can keep track of what the board's acting on.
Yeah.
It goes on Facebook, it goes online.
Thank you.
Did you post it to Berlin Neighbors Connect and Berlin Residents Unite, or that?
I don't do
No.
that, I put it on the town's website and people push it
that's,
on.
All right, I'll
those are
push it.
not a town.
Okay. All right, I'll push.
People should be going to our site for that information.
We did not vote to accept the draft calendar for the Board of Selectmen annual town report yet.
That actually is the annual town meeting calendar.
Yeah.
That's the town meeting action calendar. So
Okay.
you have done that.
Oh, all right, I'm looking down below too.
Okay.
Draft calendar year, 2019. The annual town report, that's, I think, was on there too. And if they're talking about mine, I'm going to defer it because I've still got some updates coming from Mary as far as licensing and the names of the scholarship candidates.
Okay.
But other than that, I am done with it. Have you started yours, Margaret?
Tomorrow is my day.
Okay.
Tomorrow is my day.
We probably need to put that on the agenda at some point too, to approve?
Why not? Sure.
Okay.
Next week?
If you're done?
Oh, I'll be done, because I want
Okay.
it done by the 24th, by the deadline.
Okay. All right. I will get mine all done too. And we'll just put them on the agenda for next week.
Okay.
All right. Board questions and comments. You already asked one.
I had two,
Oh.
but I'll wait. I'll let others go first.
I just wanted to do a plug for the census that is coming up, the 2020 census. It is really important that everybody fills that out because our funding and our representation
Depends on it.
depends on it. They are also looking for people to work for them, and they are paying very well. It's about $27.50 an hour, and it is about 10 hours a week. So if anybody is looking for part-time work, this would be a really great job to have in that area. I do have some sheets that I have from the Census Bureau that I can forward over to Mary if you want to post anything.
Okay. All right, thank you. And I have nothing, so,
So last week, I had brought to the board's attention what Concord was trying to do with their open space and set up meeting rooms that you could rent for a month or for a day. So, since we really don't have a committee to do that anymore, I pushed it over to EDC, and Peter Hoffman, their chair, met with a gentleman, I think from Solomon Pond, Mall, or Highland, whichever one, I might get them confused. They have some interest, so I'm going to be talking to them to see what we can do about setting up office space in one of the malls, potential office space, so either people in town can rent it for a day, rent it for a month, we could bring in other business. So it's an opportunity for the town, opportunity for the malls.
There is a city or town closer to Boston that just opened up that type of space. I'm trying to think which city it was. And the EDC just had a presentation
Yeah.
from Mass Office on Business Development the other night.
Yep.
It was very good, so maybe he can share some of that information.
Yeah,
I think there may be one in Hudson also.
Hudson? Okay.
I thought there was one in Marlboro
Is there one?
too, downtown
Yeah.
Marlboro, I
They're-
thought.
They're cropping up.
Yep. But again, if they're cropping up and we have space at either mall,
Exactly.
jump on it.
Exactly.
So I'll keep you posted as to what I hear.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. I don't believe we have reason for the executive session.
I just wanted to run by the coffee talk
Oh, yeah,
topics
yeah.
for you.
Okay.
All right, so we're planning on having Neshoba Valley Regional Dispatch Director Clune come to the first part of Coffee Talk, along with introducing the new fire chief, and he can give a brief bio about himself. And police chief will have a designee there because the chief will be out of town. So that's the first part of the meeting. I'm guessing maybe half an hour. Then we're going to be moving into uses for the 1870 Town Hall. So I know Peg has reached out to a number of individuals and groups. I know Mary has, and so we're trying to coordinate who's left to contact. And I'm thinking now that what I'd like to do is get the large white paper, and I'm happy to serve as a scribe. So when people throw out ideas,
Yep.
we'll start recording those ideas. We'll just write them down on big pieces of paper and make it a nice community brainstorming session.
I think we
The
have
other thing is the Earthworks Board permits policy. It's not on tonight, so it'll be on your next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Evie also said that she would attend the meeting. Peter Hoffman said that he would attend the meeting as well for their respective areas, and I will reach back out to Recreation, COA, and was that it?
Historical.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, historical. Were we gonna do library too, to see if they wanted to have programs?
Yep.
For programming?
All right, so I'll reach back out to Historical, Library, COA, and Rec. Okay. And then obviously we'll have our Q&A, but put an agenda together and I can post it.
Okay.
We'll whip up an agenda this week.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that to do it tomorrow if you're going to be out on Thursday, correct? You're going to be at the conference
No, I have meetings all day, but I have meetings all day, so I
on
have,
Thursday?
yeah, but I'll be around.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not leaving.
All right, I'll talk to you about the time later.
Okay.
All
And then
right.
thank you to Highway, they said that they would set up the chairs upstairs.
Oh.
And Margaret, did you find anything out about a mic?
I haven't yet. I had to meet someone there about
I
an
know there's a
event
mic
on
there.
Friday, and I tried to get into the closet and I couldn't, so I will ask Leanne.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty certain there is. Okay. Anything else? All right, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Mr. B.